So I was watching it live. I was up in the players' lounge watching it with a few other players, and as soon as he made the step into the ball, we all sort of looked at each other and were like, "That didn't seem right." And then when I heard that he was called in by the rules officials, I think it was pretty obvious for why.
Darkness falls over Royal Birkdale, and somewhere out past the ropes, a single figure keeps swinging. Ball after ball disappears into the black sky above the range, and nobody watching can explain why. Reporters press against the fence with one question burning in their throats. Will he play tomorrow? He will not answer. Not with words, anyway. He just keeps hitting balls, alone in the dark, until 10:30 at night. To understand how one of the biggest names in golf ended up here, exiled on a driving range under floodlights, you have to go back to the pressure that had been building for months. He arrived at this Open Championship carrying the weight of a brutal season. 3 major championships, 3 missed cuts. Augusta had humbled him after he promised to overpower it. The PGA Championship spat him out early. The US Open did the same. One more disaster here, and he would join an ignoble club, the first multiple major winner in over 3 decades to miss the cut at all 4 majors in a single year. The whispers grew louder, and then a legend of the game said the quiet part out loud. A 3-time Open champion went on television and dismissed him completely, insisting the man had no feel for links golf, no sense of strategy, nothing but raw power that this old English coastline would expose and punish. For 2 days, it looked like the legend was dead wrong. He opened with a sparkling round in the 60s. Then, on a Friday when the wind turned vicious and wrecked scorecards across the field, he somehow got better. A shaky start, an early bogey, and then a comeback for the ages, birdies rolling in on hole after hole down the stretch until he signed for what he believed was a brilliant 6-6. 7 under par. Sole second place. 1 shot back of the leader, who had just fired a round for the history books. The doubters had their answer. He was in the final pairing on Saturday, 3 shots from redemption. Or so he thought, because hours earlier, on a drivable par 4 everyone had already forgotten about, something had happened that no one noticed. His tee shot had sailed into the long, wild grass beyond a red stake hazard line. He chose to play it as it lay. Cameras caught him walking through that knee-high growth to reach his ball, settling into his stance, and firing his approach. A bogey. Nothing more than a footnote. No official said a word. No warning. No hesitation. He played 13 more holes with absolutely no idea a storm was building behind him. And then he walked off the 18th green, having just made birdie, buzzing with the best round of his tournament, and officials were waiting for him. What followed feels almost impossible to believe. A buggy ride back out to that same forgotten hole, at his own request, to relive the moment. A heated, animated argument in the rough, club in hand, arms folded, gesturing again and again to show exactly how he had walked, exactly how he had swung, while officials from the sport's oldest governing body watched and listened. Then another buggy ride, this time to the scoring office, where the conversation continued behind closed doors for over 20 minutes with the organization's own chief executive in the room. At 25 minutes to 10 that night, the verdict came down. A 2-stroke penalty. His bogey 5 transformed into a triple bogey 7. His glittering 6-6 became a 68. 7 under par collapsed to 5 under. Solo second place vanished, replaced by a tie for 5th. In the span of one conversation, his entire tournament had been rewritten. But that wasn't even the most explosive part of the night. As the argument raged out on the course, cameras appeared to catch him telling someone he wasn't coming back for Saturday. Lip readers online lit up with speculation. Was he really about to walk away from the Open Championship in protest? Nobody could say for certain. And he had no intention of clearing it up. When he finally faced the media, he offered them almost nothing, a few cheerful, deflecting words, a comment about hitting some balls, and then he walked straight to the range and vanished into the floodlit dark, humming to himself, checking his swing on his phone, at one point casually offering snacks to the stunned journalists still watching him. While he hit ball after ball into the night, his agent tried to explain the unexplainable. The decision on whether he'd play Saturday belonged to one man, and one man only. He'd decide alone, in the morning, based on how he felt. And how he felt, according to his agent, was wronged, convinced the punishment did not fit the accident. So what actually happened, according to the rulebook? The governing body's explanation was almost clinical in its coldness. He had inadvertently improved the area of his own swing while walking to his ball, trampling grass that could have affected his stroke. And the officials were unambiguous about the one detail that damned him. Intent was irrelevant. Even though everyone agreed he never meant to gain anything, the rule made no exception for accidents. There was room to take a stance reasonably, but the standard demanded the least intrusive path possible, and in their judgment, tramping through knee-high fescue behind the ball failed that test. Golf's own analysts split down the middle. Some called it a clear, obvious breach, arguing he'd trampled the grass so thoroughly he might as well have taken a machine to it. Others cried foul over inconsistency, pointing to eerily similar incidents at past majors that drew no penalty at all, and to an even more jarring contrast from that very same Friday, when a former world number one hurled his club in a fit of temper on a different hole and walked away with nothing but a warning. One man lost strokes for an accident. Another kept his score after losing his temper on camera. The internet erupted. For hours, the golf world hung suspended, waiting for a decision that wouldn't come until after midnight. And then, finally, 2 minutes past 12, he posted the words that ended the suspense. He admitted his disappointment, admitted he disagreed with the ruling completely, but he wasn't quitting. He was using it as fuel. He was showing up. The fallout reshaped the entire weekend. The final pairing shifted to other men entirely. He would now tee off earlier, a few shots further back, sitting in a crowded tie for fifth, 3 strokes off the lead, no longer the story everyone expected to be watching in the final group. But maybe that was the most dangerous outcome of all. Because this is a man whose entire career has been built on being underestimated, dismissed, and doubted, and then proving everyone catastrophically wrong. He didn't need a smooth path to the weekend. He needed a reason to be furious. And on a dark driving range under the floodlights of Royal Birkdale, hitting ball after ball into the night, he had just been handed exactly that.